talk deep into, he has a podcast as well. We're going to talk about that as well as his business. He's an entrepreneur. So I want y'all to make some noise for Shaun Collins. Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. This is it's different to be on the other side of the mic, but I'm digging it so far.
Right.
But I appreciate you having me do this. You know, it's awesome. I'm glad to see you're doing it. You know.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell all of the listeners and the viewers that he's one of the reasons why I did it. I was contemplating. I'm like, I think I might do it, and Shaun was like, put on my post one day, like, just do it. Come on, do it. I'm like, okay, I got to do it. So we got together. I got with my man Miles, and we started the process, and we got it going. So so far, not too bad. I kind of dig this a little bit. You know, it's different. You have your voice that can't be silenced because you can say what you want to say. Freedom of speech, right?
Yep. Until the wrong people get it right. But anyways, yeah, man. It's doing a podcast is great. You know, and it's something to get your voice out and get people to listen to what you're trying to say. You know, I totally get it. I went to school for radio. I'm a Specs Howard graduate.
Give it up for Specs Howard. I feel you,
just down the road, actually.
Right.
Right. Well, I don't know if it's there anymore. I don't think it's there at 9 and Evergreen no more.
Did you think they moved? I don't know.
I drove past it a couple times. It just looked like a ghost town. So who knows?
A fun story is, like, for years I wanted to go to Specs Howard because back in the day they had the Votech program.
Okay.
So I was in school, and all of my friends, they were doing Votech, so they were going to Specs Howard, 2 hours out the day from high school. And I'm like, I want to do that one day. And then I graduated. I'm like, I want to go to Specs Howard. No, I don't. Yes, I do. I don't know what I want to do.
It was a cool experience. It really was. It's about a year program, but it's pretty intense. It's every day.
Right.
Like my class was from like 8 in the morning till 1:30, and you had to be on time because when you go on air, you can't be late going on air. So like if you were late for one of your shows, they would dock you hard.
Ooh,
so like you had to be there on time no matter what.
Well, ain't no way around it. So. All right, so I want you to tell the people a little bit about yourself, about your background. Of course, I know some of the things, but about your business, your painting business, about your podcast, all that good stuff. Give us a little bit of background for you.
Well, I tell people all the time, I didn't choose painting. Painting chose me. If I had it my way, when I was growing up, I thought I was going to be a baseball player, a professional wrestler or something.
Okay.
But, it's something I started doing in 2006. A buddy of mine, hooked me up with a job when I was down and out. And I kind of just, picked up on it and did it on and off for many years. And, after doing it for so many years, you start to learn that you're only going to make so much money working for the man. Yeah, that's just what it is. And you can make a great living, as a painter working for somebody if you get in with the right people. But, you're still only paying your bills, and I'm not just trying to pay my bills. I'm trying to be ahead.
For sure.
So, I decided in 2018 to make the leap. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this. And I tried to do it before.
Okay.
Actually, let's circle back to like 2013.
2013.
When I tried to be a painter before, but I didn't really know anything about the business aspect or like even how to charge. So I did like a handful of jobs, right? And didn't make any money because like I didn't know how to charge for these jobs.
You're like, give me this. And
I never learned that aspect of it. So, it just wasn't going to fly in my household. So I went back to the restaurants, and that's how we crossed paths.
Absolutely.
The good old Olive Garden.
Ooh, I remember those days.
I'd like to forget them, but I met cool people like you. I met my wife there.
Yep.
But like,
shout out to the wifey.
But anybody who's worked at Olive Garden definitely understands that.
Man. It was like, and it was crazy because you'll have nights that it's like, okay, I made money, but I'm so frustrated right now. I just want to punch everybody and have a drink.
Like we were having Karens before Karen was a thing.
Yep, for sure.
And that's where all the Karens go to eat.
I cannot believe it's soup and salad. I want to share it with my friends. And like, no, you have to buy your own.
Right?
That's not how this works. It's unlimited refills. Like, how do you? Man, those days.
I don't miss them.
I don't either.
It make me crazy. I'm too old now. Like, I couldn't even work those hours no more.
Yeah, and this again, the stress of just like And I found out later. Like, this is a little side note. I found out later they had like a 3-strike rule with the managers. So like, if they got complaints to corporate 3 times, they got fired. So that's why the managers was so on like, give them whatever they want. Like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. But now I found that out, years later, and I'm like, oh, now it makes sense why they were just like, give them the house and be nice to them because they didn't want to lose their job over something stupid. So crazy, man.
That corporate atmosphere is a lot different than just working for a mom and pop restaurant. Because I worked for some breweries and such after that, and like it's way different. Totally different vibe. You could tell people know there.
Yeah. And it was cool because like in some of my other endeavors, it was like I got that support behind the corporate office because it was like corporate but small business. But it was like, oh yeah, if you need to put somebody out, you can. If you need to do this, you can. I'm like, really? Let's try this out. Hey, RJ, you're out of here, buddy. Nothing happened? Okay, cool. Like, I didn't get in trouble. I didn't get a call from the CEO. Cool.
Right.
So yeah, corporate is definitely different from small business. But kind of going back to what you said, circling around, one of the things that I always preach and teach with my business is that there is multiple sides to the business. So you can know how to do something, but you might not know how to charge or how to market or how to do other aspects of the business. And sometimes people are like, no, I can do it all. I have one man show. I can do it all. I know everything. Like, no, we don't. Because like I was in the same boat. I don't know how to charge. Like, give me $100, I guess. And then you get through, you like, I lost money.
Dude, I worked one job. I'll never forget this job. I worked a whole week for $207.
Wow.
And I was the boss. Like, that was my job. But because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, here I am. And I just remember, I wasn't married yet, but, we were still dating and whatnot. And she's like, all right, you need to go do something else. This ain't working,
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely had those times. Like, when you're trying to pay the bills, they looking at you like, what are you doing? Like, this is not working. The phone bill is this amount. You only brought in this amount.
Oh yeah, just it all, and even now, I'm still learning. I finally figured it out when I went on my own in 2018, and now I know how to make my business lucrative, and I know how to, make the business make money and myself some money. Because your business got to make money too.
Absolutely.
That's just, you can't just be putting all the money in your pocket. It takes money to make money. You got to advertise. You got to have money for your employees if you have anybody to work for you.
Mm-hmm. One of the things my CPA used to say that I love this saying. He told me years ago this, and I held on to it. He said, you can't operate out of the cash register. And at first, when he told me that, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that makes no sense. And he was saying, you can't run your business by like, okay, let me just take this money and put it here. Let me just do this. Let me just do that. But you're not allocating if you have to hire somebody, if you have to advertise, if you have to buy supplies. He's like, everything is just coming out the cash register and you paying your personal bills with it. And he was like, never operate your business out the cash register. And I'm like, that makes sense. Like, it pushes you to that next level,
It's a learning process, though. Like, I'm still figuring it out. Like, geez, I just did my taxes. Ugh. That's another thing. When
Uncle Sam.
When you own a business, pay your taxes quarterly. Be smart. Don't do what I did. And then when you get the final number, and you're like, oh, okay.
And this is one of the things that, again, I preach and teach through my business is the schools don't teach us this. So, they don't teach us if you start a business how to pay taxes. And like you said, most people don't know about paying it quarterly. So they wait to the end of the year and they're like, oh shit, like what? Wait, hold on, carry the one.
Yeah, and at that point, you just feel like they didn't even spit on it before they bent you over. You know what I mean? Like, wow. Like, hey, how you doing?
Right.
At least take me out to dinner first,
At least buy me a glass of wine. Like,
something.
Man, and it's very important. In one of my first years on my own full in business, I had a CPA. My CPA actually passed away, unfortunately. And then I found another guy, and he had no clue what he was doing. I'm like, dude, like, no, that's a write-off. He's like, well, no, you can't write that off because I'm like, yes, I can. Like, I know this part of it. Like, and he's like not writing certain things off. And then the following year we found another one, and she was like, yeah, he screwed you. Like,
yeah, see, that's the worst. Like, as a business, like for me, I write off everything.
Yeah.
I write off all my gas. I write off my internet and cable. I write off my phones.
Yeah.
I write off my car payment. I write off, and you can do those things as a business. I mean, those are business expenses that, that they can't get you for, so whenever you own something like any type of business, make sure you just get anything that you can write off, because I'm telling you, when it's time to pay those people at the IRS, They don't care. They're coming to extort your money.
and they have those rules in place where we can write all this stuff off legally. They're not going to tell you about it. So if you're not doing your due diligence and finding out, okay, what can I write off? Can I write off my internet? Can I write off my laptop? Can I write this off? If you're not doing your due diligence, of course, like, you're going to miss all of that stuff. Because I remember one year I didn't know about the gas versus mileage. So it's like, okay, well, you can write off mileage because if you're traveling, like, I come here to do the show, I got to go back home, I go back and forth. But I didn't know about the gas part of it. I'm like, oh, I can write off 100% of my gas? And like, yeah, you're using gas to get to where you're going, right? I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, I missed out last year. Like,
see, I always do gas, never mileage, just because I drive so much. And with gas being $900 a gallon right now, like, you know.
only 900.
Only 900. It'll be like 1,500 in 2 weeks, don't worry.
Right.
You know.
Get us back up there. All right, so I already asked you, we kind of already went into what got you into painting. What's one of the things that people most misunderstand about what you do?
The most common thing said is, it's just this. It's just painting. It's just this walk-in closet. It's just this small powder room, or it's always just, you know, it's almost like a lot of people want to downplay the job so you don't, you know, I guess, charge too much. I don't know what, you know, people's mindset is or whatever. But little do they know, like,
knock a couple dollars off if I say it's just a closet.
Like, I'll never forget the trim guy was at this job I was at, and there was this big extravagant walk-in closet, you know, rich folk, you know, home, huge closet. And he's like, oh, you guys will have this painted in a few hours, right? And I'm like, dude, I have to caulk in all this trim. I have to fill in all these putty holes. I gotta, you know, I have a bunch of prep to do before I can even think about painting. Yeah, when I finally paint, it's only gonna take me a few hours, but I got another 4 hours of prep before I can even do that.
Yeah, and then it's funny because people want it done right, but then they'd be like, oh, well, I can find somebody who could just paint it, and it's like, okay, and then you get a shitty job, and it's like, well, they should have went with Shaun.
I mean, I see it a lot, you know, and there's my business is cutthroat, like, especially with painting. Like, everybody's a painter, you know, so you really got to stick out, make
quote
sure,
unquote.
Yeah, everybody's a painter. Well, what happened was we could circle back all the way to 2008 when the economy took a shit and everybody lost their jobs. All of a sudden we had all these trades guys, you know, carpenters and painters and wood floor people, and they didn't know nothing about nothing.
Had no clue.
And, you know, so these guys are out there doing work, charging whatever they charge. They weren't charging no money. And then they would call somebody like me or my dad, because my dad's a licensed builder and whatnot, to come fix something. And you're like, wow, dude, these people
they screwed you major.
Yeah, now you got to pay me double to fix it, you know?
Yeah, because now I got to fix what they messed up and then do the job.
Yes, you know, and it's, you know, you get what you pay for. And that's for anything. That's not just in the trades. You know, if you're looking for the cheap guy, you're going to get cheap work, you know? And then depending on, you know, the situation, I mean, because I ran into this guy at the gas station one day, and, you know, I always see other painters, and I'll do this thing. I'll raise my fist and go, paint life, you know, just to be funny.
Right.
And he'd be like, hey, man, where are you working? I said, you know, I'm out there in West Bloomfield, you know. He's like, well, what kind of money are you making? I was like, I make a living or whatever. I ain't trying to tell nobody what I'm making. Right. It ain't nobody's business. And he's like, man, I'm working for $50 to $100 a day. And I'm like, whoa, man, that's like crackhead prices for real.
Right.
Like, I mean, what kind of base heads you having in your house doing trades work for $100 a day?
That's crazy.
You know, that's kind of sketchy. And I would definitely make sure those people had insurance and comp.
Yeah.
You know, because they screw something up or they burn your house down, you're screwed at that point.
Right.
If they, you know.
Like, it's like, oops, sorry.
Yep.
See you later.
Yep.
I'm out. Now, if you could be remembered for one thing, I know you have the podcast, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
With anything or just in general?
Just anything, like in life in general. Like, okay, hey, I remember Shaun for.
It depends on who you ask. It really does. I've always acted accordingly, I guess. So, I mean. But I'm not one of those guys. Nobody's going to ever tell you, oh, Shaun, he's an all right guy. They're going to say, I love Shaun, or I don't like Shaun.
Right.
You know, so I guess
one or the other.
Yeah, it's one or the other. You know what I mean? Because I'm very forward when just in my presentation and myself, and I don't have a filter, so whatever comes out to my head, it just comes out.
Right. And that's one of the things I think years ago when we connected. I think that was the connect. It was like, this guy is like real. He says what he believes. This is what I'm saying. This was on my mind. This is it. Like, it's no filter. It's no, oh, let me sugarcoat this. And I always love people like that, because I'm like, what are we sugarcoating it for? You know, too many people out here now that's soft because everybody's like, okay, well, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, so let me just say I like the color blue because everybody else likes blue. No, I hate the color.
Right.
Like, no.
Well, I mean, that's you can't even have an opinion no more, man. Like, without people like losing their freaking mind, you know. Heaven forbid you have a collective conversation about anything these days, but you know, here we are in 2022, and it's just
let me see how to say this politically right, but it's a dying breed of us who speak our mind, and it's, I blame to a degree Hollywood, entertainment, music industry, and the reason I say that is because the minute that somebody goes on TV and says, I don't believe in abortion. Oh, this guy, we're not watching his TV shows no more. We're not listening to his music. Cut him off. Cancel culture. Like, that's his opinion. That's what he feels. Like, how are you mad at him? But it's like, so now the entertainment and music industry, and then the influencers, social media influencers, now they're so cautious of, hey, I can't say that. Well, I don't like, I can't really say that because I might offend them, or I might offend black people, I might offend the LGBT, I might offend the white people. I won't say it. And you're like, say your opinion, speak your mind. So that frustrates me. But we're a dying breed. Now, in transition to that, so tell us about your podcast, because I feel like, you know, the podcast is more of that. Say what I feel what I say.
So my podcast is this on TV? Like, do you put this like on YouTube or whatever?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you see my shirt, but it has a picture of the nation's capital on it, and it says, "This is why we can't have nice things."
I love it.
and it's exactly true. So, you know, I've been very politically motivated my whole life, really. My grandfather, who was a UAW guy, a diehard Democrat, really got me into following politics because he was very proud of it, you know, just because he was always a union steward. He worked for Detroit Diesel for 35 years and stuff like that. Nice. And my grandpa and I were tight. Yeah. Like, he helped raise me, you know. It was just my mom and I for a lot of years. So, like, he helped raise me. And, fast forward or whatever, I also grew up, you know, in the Southern Baptist Church.
Oh, wow.
Which, if you know anything about Southern Baptists, you're going to hell for everything.
Right.
Like, you sneeze the wrong way, you look at a girl the wrong way. I mean, you're going to hell just for pretty much anything.
Like, I think you blinked twice. You're probably going
That's
to hell.
That's a sin.
Like, what? What happened?
But, that being said, like, I was brought up a very staunch Republican because that's the way they believe.
Right.
And so, you know, here we go with my first election ever. I'm 20 years old that I can vote in for a president. You know, I vote for George Bush. Okay, cool. I'm going to vote for George Bush. Well, we all know how that turned out. What a disaster.
Out, right.
You know, that's the last time gas prices were, you know, $900 a gallon was during that presidency. And, the wars. And it was just a big letdown for me. And then from there on out, you know, I could never veer to the left side. I can't do it because they always come after our Second Amendment. And I'm pro-gun, man. Yeah. We got to have those guns to protect ourselves, not from each other, but from them.
Right.
That's what the Second Amendment's about. It's not about protecting yourself from your neighbor. It's about protecting yourself from the government. You know, that's why it was written. Mm-hmm. And so.
And see, that's a misnomer there. A lot of people are like, oh, it's for your neighbor who might come over and like your neighbor's not the one that's to come and be a threat to you, really. Right. You know, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
So then, 2008 comes around and Ron Paul's out there. It was Obama versus, who was that the first time around? That was Bob Dole. Was it? No.
No.
McCain. John McCain.
Yep.
Then he was 900 years old too. But you know, I jumped on the Ron Paul wagon because he was speaking the words of liberty and actual freedom for everyone, not just a particular party side. Like, we all have natural rights as human beings that, you know, these clowns try to take away from us all the time. A la, look what's going on right now, you know. And so
very clear.
So, you know, I ran, you know, full bore into the libertarian side of things. And that was that. And so, circle back, you know, I always kept my mouth shut about stuff, but I was always knowing what was going on and reading into stuff of what they're doing and whatever. But then, you know, 2020 came along and COVID came along. And then these people decided they could dictate you providing for your family. They said, we're going to close your business down. You can't go to work.
Right.
Wait, what? Like, you can't tell me I can't provide for my family. That's the most insane.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed to work.
That is way beyond overreach.
Right.
And then, you know, I said, okay, maybe it's not time to stay silent anymore, because all these things I've been talking about and reading for like the past 20 years really had really started to come into fruition per se. And I'm like,
it's time.
It's time to talk about it. Like, we need to talk about it, because at this point in life, you know, in 2022, you know, there's a slogan, elephants and asses screwing the masses. I mean, that's what they're doing right now. And it don't matter if you know, Ice-T said it best. I love Ice-T. Him and I,
that's my guy.
We align politically great. Like, he's never come out and said he's a libertarian, but he's very like,
pretty much, yeah.
He put something on Twitter recently that said, I don't do the red and blue thing or the left and right thing. That's gangbanger shit, you know? And I was like, word, you know what I mean?
That makes sense, yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's red versus blue, you know, Bloods and Crips. And that's, at this point, I don't believe in the system. Yeah,
and you know, a lot of your posts and my post, and we'll like each other's posts about, it's just, you know, again, ultimately how we're being screwed by the government as a whole, because even down to, and I had this ongoing battle with family, friends, the vaccine thing. Like, okay, never once did I ever say that COVID was fake.
Right.
I believe it's a true disease that happened, right? However, I'm like, okay, for other diseases, I can't think of the name right now of one right now, but it take 8-9 years to come up with a vaccine. You come up with one in 8 months, and like everybody got to take it. Like, wait, well, hold on, time out. Like,
you have to take it, or you don't have a job.
Right. Or you can't work. You can't fly. You can't do this. You can't do this unless you do this.
Do you know when the last time you had to carry a vaccine card was, Reggie?
Never.
in the 1940s in Nuremberg. What was going on back then?
Polio?
No, the World War II. That was the Holocaust, bro. They used to make people carry cards.
The vaccine card.
Yeah.
Which,
like, where are we going as a society? Like, hey, like, no, we're not going there. I'm not.
And even that got into the HIPAA laws and all of that, because that was one of my things. I'm like, as a citizen with a human right, I shouldn't have to tell people what my medical stance is on whether it's a COVID vaccination or the measles vaccination. Like, that's none of your business. Like, I shouldn't have to be able to, okay, I want a burger. In order to get a burger, look, this is my medical history. Like, no. Like, that's really what's fucked up. So
your medical, how should I word this? It doesn't matter. I no filter. The government has no business making medical decisions for anyone, whether it be a man, woman, child, trans, black, white, green, yellow. I don't care.
Agreed.
Like, they have no right. Like, their job, literally the federal government's job, is to be fiscally responsible, protect the borders, protect our rights, and leave us alone.
Right.
What are they doing out of those four things right now?
I'm gonna say nothing. Really.
None of the above. You know what I'm saying? And here we are. But yeah. So the podcast is a politically charged show about my dislike for government, but it's also about like getting like-minded and unlike-minded individuals to talk about these things, because at a point right now, I feel like nobody knows what they want when it comes to politics, right? I just think they're told by the media what they want, And I really think that, you know, people like everyone should just be like, hey, let's talk about this. Or at least people who can handle the conversation without losing their mind. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think, and what you're saying that, check it out. The podcast is named Buds in the Basement.
That's right.
You can find it on Apple, Spotify.
Oh, man, we're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon.
Nice.
On all the things.
So check it out. Buds in the Basement. Yeah, that's definitely, it's one of my new favorite podcasts. I definitely support it. But it's more, is needed. It's more so needed. Sometimes you don't have podcasts or shows that are informational as well as entertaining. And it's a nice combination because you can give your opinion and then whether I agree or disagree, it's like, okay, cool. I can disagree with you, but it's like, all right, we disagree. But this is what's really happening. These are the facts. Like, it's not oh, okay, well, let me just pull some out the sky and talk about what's happening in politics. No, these are facts that are happening, and this is what should happen. So
yeah, I just want people to know that there's a better way out there, or there's another way out there than, you know, the Republicans and Democrats, because obviously this isn't working. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. Hello, when are we going to wake up? I mean, this is exactly what's happening, is the definition of insanity. Okay, so we had 8 years in Obama. Okay, so now we're going to do 4 years of Trump. And it's the same shit, different president.
Right.
You know? And
it's something I said for years that, you know, again, I get in trouble for, if you will. But it's never the president. Like, you can put this dude that lives next door to me, his name is Frank Johnson. We put him as the president, but he's not really running anything. It's the other systems in place that's pushing the masses, and not to even get into mass media of, again, you know, COVID, push COVID, vaccinate, and then it just kind of faded away slowly of like, oh, you don't see it on CNN or MSNBC no more. Like, why are they not talking about it no more?
Yeah, but do you notice how, like, we can't even have like 5 minutes apiece for real?
Right.
Like, okay, so, you know, here we are, Midwesters. The weather's starting to break. People are starting to feel good. You know, things are getting a little bit better. Bam, the leak comes out about Roe v. Wade. Now everybody's all pissed off again.
Yep.
Like, we can't even have 5 minutes apiece, dude.
So before you even think about it, like, okay, here we go with another issue.
So it's like, you know, the media does this shit, you know, and they do it, and enough's enough.
It is. I agree.
Enough's enough. There's a better way, folks. I promise you. I promise.
Totally agree. Now, kind of getting off a little bit on, like, more on a personal tip. So,
yeah, let's do it.
What would you say is your favorite holiday movie, and what does that say about you as a person?
Well, I have two holiday favorites because they're two different holiday movies. So, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for Thanksgiving. Nice. That movie's hilarious. And then for Christmas, it's got to be Home Alone.
Home Alone, classic.
Gotta be Home Alone. You know, the first two, you know, I think they made some other ones that weren't so great.
Yeah, the other ones kind of got off into like just, oh, let's try to keep pushing the brand, but like, nah. But yeah, the first two definitely. It was funny, just a quick story. I always have my babies in the studio with me, and first time I took them to New York, you know, we were at like in Central Park, and they're like, wait, this is from Home Alone. I'm like, yeah, we're in Home Alone Central Park area. So
think about that. So that movie came out in like 90 or 91 probably, I think, right?
Yeah.
And you're watching this with your kids, and they know all about it too. That's great.
That's great. It's like that. Those are classic. That's what makes a classic.
Yeah. You know? Oh yeah, absolutely.
So sometimes we say, oh, this is a classic. It's not a classic. So, all right, another question. What's one of the favorite jobs you held outside of painting?
Oh, man, I used to work at this Irish pub called Shaun O'Callahan's in downtown Milford. I was their head bartender and floor manager there, and it was just a lot of fun. The place was small. Mm-hmm. The staff was small then, you know. I think the capacity was about 180 people or something like that. But it was so much fun. You know, we all had a good time. We were all close-knit group of friends or whatever. We go party and stuff. And I made a bunch of money.
Right.
Oh, man. I worked there for 2 years. In both years, I turned 70 G's bartending. You know what I mean? And that was like 07, 06-ish, you know.
That was back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. A shout out to that. So, all right. Now, this is a fun question I ask periodically. So, what would be the title of a book about you if your worst enemy wrote it?
Things that piss me off. Because I could totally write a book about that, or somebody could about me, because it's like, man, I can't even get on the freeway without getting mad. Like, I'm out here in Oak Park, so I deal with 696 International Speedway every day of my life. Man. And I mean, it's an international speedway. If you don't do 90, you're going to die. Like, they're nuts out there.
It's crazy. And a lot of the accidents, they go unreported. Like, you don't even hear about them because it's like, it happens so often. It's like, there goes another one. The wintertime is great when somebody's like drove off way down the embankment. I'm like, how did you even do that? That takes talent. Like, how do you do that? How did you make that happen?
Were you texting? I'm pretty sure you were.
I know. One of my fun stories about 696, this was back in the day. I was a junior taking a senior to prom, and her parents was very stern about have her home by midnight. So we're at prom having a good time. Looked at the clock like, oh shit, like I gotta get her back. I'm on 696 doing like 110. Like, I'm like, if I don't get her back, I'm gonna die.
And people were probably passing you.
I wasn't keeping up.
No.
I thought I was doing something at 110, but they were like, sure. I'm like, wait, if I'm doing 110 and you just passed me, carry the one. I was like, man, I got her back home like at 11:55. I'm like, okay.
No, you didn't get that ass whooping from her dad then.
But yeah, 696 is a mess. What's one of the most common myths about your job or your expertise? Like, what would you say is like a common myth that people...
It's just painting. Everybody just thinks it's painting. It's just paint. And it's like, well, there's so much more work to it. It's not like super like grunt work per se. Like, the heaviest thing I'm ever going to pick up is probably a 5-gallon bucket. And because I don't move around those big ladders no more. You can keep that for them young bucks, man. Too old for that bullshit now to be getting on them 40 footers that are 300 pounds. Right. But that's just a lot of times just people like just think it's paint and it's whatever, and but really, like, I'm a finisher. One of my slogans is making America beautiful again, one house at a time.
Nice. And you do inside and outside, right? Exterior,
mostly just interior. I'm a one-man show. I can't find anybody to work, so it's just me. And so, the inside stuff's a lot easier for me to take, rather than the outside. I'll do smaller outside jobs, little ranch houses. Plus, like I said, I'm not getting up on those big ladders anymore. I got a 24-foot ladder. That's as high as I'm going.
So if it's above that, you're shit out of luck.
Give it to the 25-year-olds. I'm not doing it.
All right, real quick, let's just do a quick plug and tell people how they can contact you if they want to, hire you for some painting, some jobs, or.
All right, well.
If you want to be hired.
Yeah. So I always want to be hired. You can find me on Facebook. It's Shaun Collins Painting. It's not just a clever name. I'm Shaun Collins, and But anyways, I got jokes. They're not always funny, but I got some. Apparently it was funny today. Great. But, the only thing I got on social media for my painting is on Facebook. Okay. And it's just Shaun Collins, SHAUN. Shaun Collins Painting will pop up. There'll be a little guy with a paintbrush and a spade. Because my slogan I stole from Motorhead. I'm a big metalhead, and I love Lemmy. So the writing for Shaun Collins Painting is like Motorhead, the font, and then their big hit was the Ace of Spades, and I'm the Ace of Paints.
Nice, I like it.
But yeah, that's. Or you could just call me. I mean, it's on the on the Facebook. My phone number's up there. Just give me a call, and I do it. Mostly inside work, but if you got a smaller house, I'll do some outside stuff.
Sounds good to me. Shout out to my man Shaun Collins. We're not done yet, so we got a little bit more show to go. I want to get into. We do what's called a boardroom quickfire. So I'm gonna give you like you got two things, and you got to choose between the two.
Okay.
Which was the. You got to pick one. You can't pick both. You got to pick one.
Okay.
Just as if you was in a boardroom making, multi-million-dollar decisions. So,
and you're putting the heat on me right now.
Just a little bit. So again, for everybody listening, watching live, cool. We appreciate you. Make sure you go over to the ceolab.com. ceolabpodcast.com and subscribe to all of the channels. We're distributed by pretty much everybody, which is cool. So Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that good stuff. And then also leave us some comments. Let us know what you think, think of the show, or if you have any additional follow-up, like, okay, well, this guy Shaun, and he said this, and I want to find out later about that. And then you can go to Buds in the Basement and get on him a little bit and be like, hey, you said this on the CEO podcast. What did you mean by this? We welcome all that good stuff, right?
Oh yeah, I love talking about that stuff. When it comes to the political stuff, if somebody's willing to listen, I'm willing to give them my spiel, just because I feel like we deserve better. We can do way better.
Nice, I agree. All right, so you ready to jump into this?
Let's do
quick
it.
Fire.
All right.
Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube.
Audi or BMW?
Probably Audi.
Comedy or horror?
Oh man, I like comedies. Yeah, comedies. But I love horror flicks too.
So that's a tough one right there.
Yeah, that was tough.
Music or podcast?
Well, I mean, I'm a podcaster, but music is my first love. I love music.
Gotta take the music for the first love.
Mm-hmm.
All right, apartment or home?
House.
For sure. Plants or flowers?
Plants.
New Year's Eve or Valentine's Day?
Oh, New Year's Eve.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
You like, yeah, that's not a question.
We don't even really do Valentine's Day, because we met working in the restaurant. So at first you had to work Valentine's Day, so there wasn't no doing all that.
Holidays, it's like, what?
I think our first time we ever exchanged Valentine's Day presents was in her car in my driveway at my house, after work one night. It was so weird. And never since
this
then.
is a long day. Here you go. Love you.
Them Hallmark holidays. I don't need a holiday to tell my wife I love her. She knows it.
Shout out to that. That's what's up. I think I know the answer to this. Boss or worker?
Boss.
Yeah.
I don't like nobody telling me what to do, man.
I hear you. Classic or modern?
Classic.
Rom-coms or documentaries?
I'm not too familiar with rom-coms. It's
like the romantic comedies.
Oh, documentaries.
You said for sure, huh?
Yeah. I'm out of the all these new terms and stuff. I'm seriously such a recluse. I'm out of the loop so much.
No, I trust me. I'm with you. Some of them I had to look up myself. Wait, what does this mean?
What are they saying right now?
Okay, painting or photos?
Photos.
Capture the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Piercings or tattoos?
Tats. I have none though.
I love my tattoos. I need some tattoos in my life.
I want to get some, but I got to get over the whole needle thing. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Trust me. Once you start, you're like, Most of my tats, I'm watching a movie or doing something on my phone.
Nice.
It's not to the shading. I hate the shading. The shading, because it's just they're just rubbing it in, and it's oh my god, you're burning my skin.
I have a friend that had her sleeve done in one weekend.
Yeah,
because she did it at that tattoo convention downtown when they used to have it at the Rents End there.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that was painful because you're really supposed to break up those type of art projects into a few sessions, and she did it in hours.
Yep. A couple of my tattoo artists, they knock out portraits and different things okay, we're gonna do 2 sessions, 4 hours this day, 4 hours this day. I'm like, that's crazy. I don't think I could do that. All right, I think I know the answer to this one too. Flip flops or sneakers?
Oh, flip flops.
Marvel or DC?
DC. I love Batman. Batman's my guy, man. That's DC.
So you had to get between the two, huh? Football or basketball?
Football.
For sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, I'll tell you something about basketball real quick. I love basketball with my whole heart until the Pistons played the Spurs when the second Bad Boys team, when they went to the finals again.
Okay.
And they played the Spurs and went to a Game 7 that had no business having a Game 7. Now I'm going to get heated because this is why I don't watch basketball anymore. And Then they go to the game 7 and they're up by like 9 or 10 points with 2 minutes left, and they lose the finals. I was so mad.
Yeah.
I was livid, and I was like, I'm never watching basketball again.
It's definitely, and this is for another show, another time, but they definitely have politics in sports and basketball specifically. Like we were talking about last week on the show with my son, is just like all of the, hey, we're going to recruit you, we're going to give you $20 million, but you can't say this, you can't ride this, you can't do this, you can't do, in this game, go out and play average. This game, go play your best. This game, do this.
Yeah,
it's like, whoa, what's really going on? Like, it's all a setup, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and then the last question I always have is integrity or character?
I think character is more important. I think because your character is what makes you you. Mm-hmm. And if you have a good character, the integrity will automatically be there.
It'll follow.
You know what I mean? So, that's why I would pick character.
Absolutely. Make some noise one time for that, y'all. Again, I want to welcome my guest, my very special guest, Shaun Collins, to the podcast. We appreciate you coming, man. Definitely, we got to do it again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
On some more topics,
We'll get you in the basement, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely got to get over there. We appreciate y'all tuning in to the CEO Lab podcast. We're here live every Saturday at 2 p.m. It'll be available on all of your streaming networks on Tuesday at 7 p.m. I want to give a shout out to my company, Seven Streams Worldwide. That's who's sponsoring this show, as well as my co-host business, or my guest, co-host, guest. It's all the same. It's all family. Shaun Collins Painting. You can find him on Facebook. And then, give him a shout out if you need some paint work done, some professional paint work. His work is really good. It's not just like some, slap together. Hey, I had an afternoon, I threw some paint on the wall. It's professional. It's good.
I promise to make your face look beautiful.
Beautiful. Again, we appreciate you all tuning in. Remember that you'll never change your life until you change your choices. Thank you for tuning in today.
Thank you for having me. Sweet.
From another time zone, intercontinental business, that's what I'm on. $1 million deal on my iPhone. Wow. So please excuse me.